So May is Child Protection Month, a month in which it is basically to raise awareness about the rights of children as enshrined in the Constitution. And as today we basically speak about human rights, and we always do also educate you on your rights. So it is an annual observance dedicated to raising awareness about the rights as well as the rights of children, and it particularly includes a series of events, campaigns, as you've maybe noticed on social media, and also activities aimed at promoting child safety, preventing abuse, and also advocating for policies and practices that support children's healthy development. And Molo Songololo, which is a registered non-profit organization that promotes the rights and protection of children and youth, and especially girls, their work aligns with the goals of Child Protection Week, focusing on everything that I just mentioned, such as advocacy, education, and also empowerment to create a safer and more inclusive environment for children. And joining us on the line is the director of Molo Songololo, Patric Solomon. So good afternoon, Patric. How are you today?
Hi, good afternoon, and thank you for having me. And it's good to be here with you. And I hope your listeners are tuned in. As we will talk about child protection during this interview.
And it's only a pleasure to be speaking to you. Patric, so just before we're going to dive in, is there anything specific Molo Songololo has been focused on during this month when we do speak about creating more awareness and creating that inclusivity of protecting children?
Yes, of course, and during this period, what we do, of course, we do our normal work, but also during that, we also try to put the focus on children's rights and children's protection. Unfortunately, we have a big problem that so many of our children are not protected, are exposed to all kinds of risk and threats, and also experience all kinds of abuse and violence. So what we are focusing on during this period is, of course, safety for children. In Delft in particular, we are focusing on safety for girls. Girls at home, at school, and in the community. And then in both in Atlantis, the children there have identified particularly their safety in public spaces and public areas when they go from home to school, from home to the shop. So we will be focusing on the safety of children in the community, in public, outside their home. And in Beaufort West, we've also consulted with children there, and they've identified, like in Delft, that for them, safety in homes and safety in public and also safety at schools is a bit of a problem. So coming to Delft again, we are quite concerned about the high levels of violence in the community of Delft. The children, they identified that the schools are not safe, that they're going to and from school is not safe, public space is not safe, and that also their homes are not safe. Many reported that their homes are not safe. So we find that children in Delft, many of them live in overcrowded conditions and also live with many other people. But besides their own family, they also live with other people. And many of them only live with their mother. And others don't have fathers at all. So there's a high level of child abandonment by men in the community of Delft. So that is what we focus on. So it is about empowering children so they can take better care of themselves, empowering girls so that they can be aware of the risk that they face, and also what girls can do to improve their safety. And also parents. What can parents do to improve the safety of the children at home? What can educators do? What can children do, learners do to improve their safety at school? And also in public. So, for example, the taxi drivers, many of them report public transport is not safe for them, like the taxis. So we're engaging the taxis and taxi bosses. That's what we will be doing also during this month, to look at what can they do to improve the safety of children. What can the drivers and the ticket, the money collectors in the taxis do to protect children? And also, how do we get them not to abuse our children, not to interfere with our children, not to be inappropriate with a girl, not to seek out relations and sexual relations with children, right? So those are the kind of things that we will be focusing on. And, of course, also engaging role players and stakeholders, like your community organizations, your service providers, and trying for us to all have a focused approach so we all can work together to improve the safety of children in the communities that we focus in.
And then, Patric, based on what you stated now, and as you are speaking specifically about the community of Delft, as you are also empowering these young girls to be able to advocate for themselves, so do you also work together with their parents? Because especially, is there a right that also states or that can also provide services or assistance for children that are currently at home? That's not in school when they're supposed to be in school? Is there any law against that?
Yeah, no, it is. Some of our parents are having a tough job, and also some of our children are being marginalized because either poverty-related conditions, and then, of course, also there's a lot of behavioral problems that our children have, a lot of bad influence, and a lot of parents are struggling with their children because either they are disruptive, poor behavior, aggressive, take alcohol, take drugs, and they then drop out of school. So there's a lot of challenges that we have with children, and far too many of them that drop out of school that's supposed to be in school. Now, yes, there are laws that protect children. A child who's not in school is a child in need of care and protection, right? So everything must be done to make sure that that child gets to school. If it is found, for example, that a parent keep a child from going to school willingly, then that parent can be found guilty of an offense. Then also we have situations where service providers are obligated to identify and then also to facilitate and report children that are in need of care and protection. So even a child who doesn't go to school, that child must be reported. Unfortunately, the system is not working very, very well. But if a parent is struggling with a child who is not going to school, they must report it to the education department or to a social worker in the area or a designated organization in the community. And those organizations must then report to the education department so that we can have a record of all the children that's out of school. Schools also have to report if children drop out of school, that children are not attending school, have dropped out of school. Unfortunately, we struggle with these kinds of reports, so we don't have an accurate record, a daily accurate record of how many children are in school and how many children are not in school. So our data capturing process needs to be improved, because if we do that, we can then have a better idea of exactly how many children are out of school. And of course, also the risk that children face when they're out of school, that means they would be idle, they're not doing anything, or they might be in a situation of exploitation. They might be forced to go and beg, to do certain kind of chores that they're not supposed to do, and also to work. So child labor, is, for example, in Delft is on the increase. Both the police and other service providers have reported that children are working not only on the taxis, not walking and selling goods and fruit and vegetables, but they're also begging at the shopping center and working other kind of processes, also being used by gangsters to run their drugs or do other chores for them. So there's really having a big problem where these numbers are increasing. So if a parent do have problems with a child who don't want to go to school, they must report it. And I know that some parents have reported and they're not getting the support that they can get because their children are so dysfunctional, so uncontrollable, that it's very, very difficult to do that. But we must never, never give up on any child. So what we normally do, we would work with other service providers, we would work with the police, we would work with the education department, we would work with psychosocial service service providers, we would work with counseling centers, substance abuse counseling centers to try and assist a particular individual child. And then, of course, also we try to have continuous ongoing contact with the child or the family so that we can have a more long-term impact and support for that child or that family. But it is challenging, especially if children are abusing substances, or even if the family are abusing substances and the child is living in a very dysfunctional household and there's high levels of poverty. When people have resources, they are better able to access more resources. When poor families and poor mothers and families don't have resources, then they find it much more difficult to access the resources. So it's quite challenging for many of our parents. But as it is Child Protection Month, and Child Protection Week will be from the 29th of May to the 5th of June, and the 1st of June is International Children's Day, we all need to make an extra effort. If we all can just make an extra effort, right, to make sure that we implement the services that we are supposed to implement to the best of our ability and to the highest standard, and then just make an extra little effort, right, just to identify children in need of care and protection and report it. I think we will do we will be able to begin to see better results. And then also to be consistent with children, right? A child don't only need one counseling session. A child don't only need one home visit, but a child needs ongoing support from service providers, whether it is government service providers or NGO service providers. And then, of course, also an appeal to all parents out there and community members. Please go help and assist our schools. Some of our schools are struggling with behavior problems. Please get involved, go assist our schools. Help, help with the educators, help with monitoring, help with encouraging children to get to school on time early in the morning, right? And also help children to be safe in their communities. If we can get more and more people to do that, right, and more people just go the extra little mile, then I think we will be able to see better results.
Thank you so much. And so you talked earlier about how you really work within communities, and you sort of mentioned it just now. You work with all these different stakeholders, the schools, the parents, the law enforcement. And so, but community issues, of course, they differ from place to place. And so I'm curious as to how you tailor, your different programs to really fit the needs of the specific communities that you're working alongside.
Yeah, our Molo Songololo approach is a very participatory approach. So we, for example, when we started the Gold Power Project, which is a partnership with the Nelson Mandela Children's Fund, we first consulted with learners and children in the community with some service providers. We told them that this is the idea, what do they think we should be doing, what is the focus, and then we adapt our intervention to meet the needs of the local targeted community. We also did a baseline survey where we just tried to find out exactly what is the situation, what are the views and the attitudes of people, what are the myths, what are the facts on the ground, and then that information help us to also tweak and adjust our intervention programs. And as we do our activities around the program, we will continuously consult with people, get their feedback. Is it working? Is it not working? What must we change? And we try to encourage their active participation in our activities, either through volunteers, attending the program, for example, and also getting the different people to request, if they think that we can provide some sort of service to them, to contact us and request us to provide particular activities or services to them. So our participatory approach helps us to maintain a relevance and help us to maintain a targeted intervention.
So thank you so much. Unfortunately, as time permits, we have to wrap up this interview, although there's so much more that I want to know about your work. But yeah, so we were speaking with Molo Songololo. We were speaking with a representative from Molo Songololo, Patric.
Solomons, who is the director. So, Patric, just in conclusion, if you can also provide contact details, how people can get in touch, and like you've mentioned, it should be reported if a child is unsupervised. So, if individuals on the in communities do witness that, how can they reach out to you?
Yeah, they can reach out to us via our social media pages. Of course, it's Molo Songololo, at Molo Songololo, or in the way each of us just Google contact Molo Songololo, or look enough on our social media for Molo Songololo. Don't get it. And then, of course, also people can also just email us. But most of the people nowadays contact us via our via social media, and then, of course, also our WhatsApp. Mm-hmm. So they can contact us via our WhatsApp. It is 079 524 0621. I repeat, 079 524 0621. So they can drop us a WhatsApp and we'll get back to them. So that's the best way in which people can get hold of us, and that's how most of the people now communicate with us.
Thank you very much, Patric, for taking the time to speak to us. And also a happy birthday from all of us for last week. Last week was your special day.
Oh,
so
yeah,
I hope you enjoyed it.
It's our 45th anniversary. So we'll be celebrating the whole of the year.
So congratulations to all of that. So it's just good things coming your way.
Good things.
So, Patric, are there last words before we let you go?
Yeah, basically what our message from Molo Songololo is that, if you suspect, if you see, if you hear inappropriate behavior that is wrong, behavior that is abusive and neglect our children, behavior that is violent towards our children, speak out about it, report it. Because the more we do that, the more we'll be able to prevent some of these most horrible crimes being committed against our children.
Thank you so much for those final words.
Have a beautiful day further. Bye.
Thank you, and to you and your listeners.
Only a pleasure. And that was Patric Solomons, the director of Molo Songololo. And as you've witnessed, all the great work that they have been doing in the lives of young children, and also their various programs that also assist these individuals to strengthen themselves also. And it shouldn't be a child's responsibility to take care of or defend for themselves, but in the world that we're currently living in, that is just how it is going. So with that concludes today's edition of Sakhisizwe Building the Nation Bodinazi. So next up, East Afrikaans news at 2 with Mitchum George. Followed by that, we do have Back Chat, and then at 4 we have Everyday People. So from myself, Jasmine Roberts,
and from me, Nadia Trinidad.
We'll be back tomorrow between 12 and 2. Sounds taking us out east. The sounds by Zonke coming your way.